Hello everyone. Today we will gain some basic knowledge regarding the Sales of Goods Act through some basic multiple choice questions. So without wasting any time, let's start with it. First question is the Sales of Goods Act was enacted on which of the following dates? Options are A 15th February 1930, B 15th March, C 15th April 1930, or D none of the above. The correct answer to this question is option B, that is, the Sales of Goods Act was enacted on 15th March 1930. The next question is the Sales of Goods Act 1930 contains how many sections? Options are A 66 sections, B 68 sections, C 70 sections, or D none of the above. The correct answer to this question is option A, that is, the Sales of Goods Act 1930 contains 66 sections. The next question is the section 2 of the Sales of Goods Act is all about which of the following? Options are A. Principles, B. Definitions, C. Exceptions, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option B, that is, Section 2 of the Sales of Goods Act is all about definitions. Basically, in Section 2 of Sales of Goods Act, this act or this section gives the definition of all the terms that are used in this particular act. Next question is the Sales of Goods Act was enforced on which of the following dates? Options are A. First day of May 1930, B. First day of June 1930, C. First day of July 1930, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option C, that is, the Sales of Goods Act was enacted and was enforced on first day of July 1930. The next question is as per the section 2 clause 1, a person who buys or agrees to buy goods is called which of the following? Options are A. Buyer, B. Seller, C. Both A and B, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option A, that is, as per section 2 clause 1, a person who buys or agrees to buy goods is known as a buyer. The next question is the Sales of Goods Act 1930 is based on which of the following acts? Options are A. US Sale of Goods Act, B. English Sale of Goods Act, C. Indian Sale of Goods Act, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option B, that is, the Sales of Goods Act 1930 is based on English Sales of Goods Act. The next question is Section 2, subsection dash of the Sales of Goods Act 1930 defines goods. Fill in the blanks. The options are A. Subclause 5, B. Subclause 6, C. Subclause 7, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option C, that is, the subclause 7, which is section 2, subclause 7 of the Sales of Goods Act 1930 defines goods. The next question is future goods means goods to be manufactured or produced or acquired by the seller. Dash. Options are in future prescribed times, B. After making of contract, C. Before making of contract, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option B, that is, the future goods means the goods to be manufactured or produced or acquired by the seller after making of the contract of sale. The next question is the voluntary transfer of possession from one person to another is called what? The options are A. Transfer, B. Change of possession, C. Delivery, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option C. That is, the voluntary transfer of possession from one person to another is known as delivery of goods. The next question is, as per section 2, subclause 7, every kind of movable property other than the actionable claim and money is called which of the following? Options are A. Goods, B. Future goods, C. Both A and B, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option A. That is, any movable property other than the actionable claim and money is known as goods. The next question is, Section 31 of Sales of Goods Act deals with duties of a seller. Blank. The options are A. To show goods, B. To deliver goods, C. To change goods, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option B. That is, Section 31 of the Sales of Goods Act deals with duties of a seller to deliver goods to from one person to another. The next question is, Section dash to dash of Sales of Goods Act deals with the performance of a contract. Fill in the blanks. Options are A. Section 31 to 44, B. Section 25 to 40, C. Both A and B, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option A. That is, Section 31 to 44 of the Sales of Goods Act deals with the performance of a contract. The next question is, Section 58 of the Sales of Goods Act provide a right of suit for specific performance of contract on the part of options are A. Seller, B. Buyer, C. Both A and B, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option A. That is, Section 58 of the Sales of Goods Act provides right of suit for specific performance of contract on the part of the seller. The next question is, which provision of the Sales of Goods Act deals with the suits for price? Options are A. Section 50, B. Section 55, C. Section 58, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option B. That is, Section 55 of the Sales of Goods Act deals with suits for price. So, Section 55 states suit for price. Under the clause 1, it states that where under a contract of sale the property in the goods has passed to the buyer and the buyer wrongfully neglects or refuses to pay for the goods according to the terms of the contract, the seller may sue him for the price of the goods. Clause 2 of Section 55 states that where under a contract of sale the price is payable on a day certain irrespective of delivery and the buyer wrongfully neglects or refuses to pay such price, the seller may sue him for the price although the property in goods has not passed and the goods have not been appropriated to the contract. The next question is, Section 57 of the Sales of Goods Act deals with which of the following? Options are A. Suits for price, B. Suit for damage for non-delivery, C. Suit for damages for non-acceptance, D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option B. That is, Section 57 deals with suit for damage for non-delivery. The next question is, Section dash of the Sale of Goods Act deals with seller's lien. The options are A. Section 46, B. Section 47, C. Section 48, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option B. That is, Section 47 of the Sales of Goods Act deals with seller's lien. Section 47 deals with seller's lien. As per Clause 1, subject to the provisions of this Act, the unpaid seller of goods who is in a possession of them is entitled to retain possession of them until the payment or tender of the price in the following cases, namely A. Where the goods have been sold without any stipulation as to credit, B. where the goods have been sold on credit but the terms of credit has expired, or C, where the buyer becomes insolvent. The clause 2 of section 47 states the seller may exercise his right of lien notwithstanding that he is in a possession of a goods as agent or bailiff for the buyer. The next question is where an unpaid seller has made part delivery of goods, he may exercise his right on dash. The options are A, return of the remainder, B, of lien of the remainder, C, sale to any other person, or D, none of the above. The correct answer to this question is option B. That means where a seller, unpaid seller, has made part delivery of the goods, he may exercise his right of lien on the remainder. The next question is Section Dash of the Sales of Goods Act deals with the rights of unpaid seller. The options are A, Section 46, B, Section 47, C, Section 48, or D, none of the above. The correct answer to this question is option A, that is Section 46 of the Sales of Goods Act deals with the rights of unpaid seller. Section 46 of the Sales of Goods Act states unpaid seller's right. Clause 1 states that subject to the provisions of this act and any of the law for the time being enforced, notwithstanding that the property in goods may be passed to the buyer, the unpaid seller of goods, as such, has, by implication of law, the following rights, which are A. A lien on goods for a price while he is in a possession of them. B. In case of the insolvency of the buyer, a right of stopping the goods in transit after he has parted with the possession of them. C. A right of resale as limited by this act. Clause 2 states that where the property in goods has not been passed to the buyer, the unpaid seller has, in addition to other remedies, has a right of withholding delivery similar to and coexistent with his right of lien and stoppage in transit where the property has passed to the buyer. The next question is definition of unpaid seller is provided in section dash of the Sales of Goods Act 1930. The options are A, section 45, B, section 46, C, section 47, or D, none of the above. The correct answer to this question is option A, that is section 45 deals with the definition of unpaid seller in Sales of Goods Act 1930. Section 45 of the Sales of Goods Act 1930 deals with the definition of the unpaid seller. This section states that, as per clause 1, the seller of the goods is deemed to be an unpaid seller within the meaning of this act when A. When the whole of the price has not been paid or is tendered. B. When a bill of exchange or other negotiable instrument has been received as conditional payment and the condition on which it was received has not been fulfilled by reason of the dishonor of the instrument or otherwise. And clause 2 states that in this chapter the term seller includes any person who is in a possession of a seller, as for the instance, an agent of the seller to whom the bill of lading has been endorsed, or consigner or agent who has himself paid or is directly responsible for the price. Moving on to the last question. Section 31 of the Sales of Goods Act duty bounds the buyer to do which of the following? Options are A. Accept the goods, B. Pay for the goods, C. Both A and B, or D. None of the above. The correct answer to this question is option C, that is both A and B, which means that the section, as per section 31 of the Sales of Goods Act, the duty bounds the buyer to accept the goods and pay for the goods for which he has accepted and has bought.